they can't relate. We the hustle chronicles, writing our own fate.
Let's go.
What's up, you guys?
Yo, what up, what up?
We are back.
Yeah, we're back, baby.
Another one.
Hey, DJ Khaled been gone for a while. Like, he been quiet.
He right, man. He hustling. He getting it.
Or he hiding. Or he don't want his name put out somewhere.
Oh, that's
Never mind. Anyway, yeah, man.
Go ahead, Ty.
No, just saying, yeah, man. It's glad to be back. Another episode, 3 years. 3 episodes in of the new season. Feeling good, feeling great today, man. It's been busy, but we here. How you feeling today, man?
Man, I'm feeling blessed, brother. I'm feeling good. I'm happy that we have a special guest, our first guest of the
first one.
So I am very excited about this one. We've been trying to get him on the podcast for at least a year and some change now. So now that it's finally happening, we here now. So for those of you guys who don't know, this is the Hustle Chronicles. I'm AJ.
I'm Tyler.
And this is the Hustle Chronicles.
Chronicles, baby.
Let's go. Okay. If I can introduce my guest or our guest.
Go ahead.
Man, this is somebody I've known for a while now, 10 years plus. My AD, one of my mentors, one of the GOATs. He has been influential in my life for quite some time now. Helped me in different ways, whether it's knowledge, resources, and just a good example as a man. So I'm truly grateful for this guy. He is a leader. He is an innovator. A lot of people say that it was EYL who started the courses. No, it was Charles. He has made himself a self-made millionaire. Also, he is currently a practicing attorney. Shout out to that. Let me give him a hand clap for that. And just all around good dude, and may I add, very controversial at times. But it's good. It's good for the culture. We need it. Without further ado, can I introduce Charles Oglesby? Hey, let's go. Yeah, man. But yeah, Charles, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. It's just a blessing to be able to. Sometimes it's interesting because you kind of can forget who you are sometimes when things aren't necessarily going your way, and things are going really good right now. Hit a new peak. That's not even really a peak. I think it's just a stepping stone.
Yes, sir.
So just crossing that off the list was a huge accomplishment for myself, and a lot of good things happening. A lot of good things happen. I'm happy.
Amen to that, brother.
Man.
Oh yeah, and also, man, this guy is bridging the gap, man, the wealth gap, man. One of the key innovators in stocks and finances, guys. So you guys are definitely in for a treat. And yeah, it should be a good episode. So we're gonna get started.
Can I say something real quick?
Go ahead, Ty.
Man, I just want to say, Charles, man, and for being just you and your line, just years back, just being I just want to thank you and your line, the brothers that were there, for personally influencing me as a new person on campus. If I had to think of like people who were really like looking out for my like interest and who I was, definitely it was you guys' line. Each of y'all I can tell were like individual, like great in y'all own right. Just watching y'all, but watching y'all together was great. But the fact that it was just like a personal interest, like in me, really helped my college career along the way. And I just want to say, man, I appreciate you and your line for what y'all did, man. Y'all definitely like legends in the game and
Most definitely.
legends of Music. And I just personally just want to appreciate and say I appreciate it, man.
I think that's dope. And what's interesting is like that's just how the frat works, man. Like when we came into the frat, there's people looking out for us. And I think that's what makes fraternity life so unique. A lot of people, they see the parties, they see all that stuff. But what was really cool for me is stepping into an organization where you're connected to somebody who's a few years ahead of you and they're your brothers, you know? So it was a different conversation when I was an interest and I was talking to Marlene versus when I'm a Sigma and I'm talking to Marlene. And it kind of like, it brings you up a little bit. And I think that that's just the way that the frat works. And I think that's the benefit of being in the frat that a lot of people overlook. There's so many benefits that come from that organization that we don't even necessarily see all the time because you're just in it. I remember I was talking to Art once. We were talking about like one of the benefits of being in a frat. And he was like, I didn't even realize that's what was going on. I was like, yeah, that's what was going on. And so like, I think that's dope. It's like people have helped us. We help the people behind us. And I'm sure you guys have helped the people behind you guys.
Yep.
And that's just the way that it works.
Yep. It keeps going, man. It's like that, what was that? Like a hand reaching out and it's like pulling you up, you know, and like you got another hand holding you up. You know what I mean? So it's a beautiful thing. People sleep on fraternity and Greek life for sure, but they gonna wake up soon. But yeah, we were talking about this clip from last week. It was Boyce Watkins, and he was talking about how I guess he was saying that if people didn't glorize athletes, rappers, and actors so much, then the community be in a much better place. But because those professions are glorified and looked at and sought after so much by a majority of people, it kind of messes up our community. So we kind of wanted to get your feedback. We did a poll. It's going to be in the Facebook group, the Twitter, and the Instagram handles. But why do you think that so many people glorize those professions rather than the professions like you have, like an attorney? I'm a real estate agent. Teacher. Just your everyday professions that make the world go around.
I think part of it is people don't want to do the work. People want to be lazy and get rich. And for me, I grew up in a family where people did the work. My grandfather did the work. My great grandfather did the work. My parents did the work. And so for me, just like doing the work was to be expected. So I didn't run away from the work. And then also, I think that those are the people that have the platforms. So you're seeing them on TV, you're listening to them on the radio. And a lot of people, that's the only real representation that they see of themselves on TV versus before when you had TV shows that glorified college. You got a whole wave of Black folks going to college. If you showed more families on TV, you get more Black people that are good in families. And so in part, I think that the media, it kind of dictates the narrative for our culture, unfortunately, if you're unintelligent. I think that like a lot of times people ask me like, oh yeah, is your son going to be a football star, a basketball star? Is he going to do this? I'm like, my son's going to be an academic. And the reason why I say that is because one of the reasons why our culture is so polarized, meaning you got some really, really rich Black people, but you also got some really, really poor Black people, is because we're not going for that obvious route. We're not going for an engineer, a nurse, a doctor, a lawyer, an entrepreneur that provides just a normal service, not some super novel, innovative tech idea, not your eyelashes, not your hair weave. Like, open up a hardware store, open up a grocery store, open
Nice.
up a dog, like things that actually build your community, own a cleaners, do that stuff.
Yep.
And
Daycare
so,
center.
since we don't have people just like hitting base hits to a decent life, we have people who are over here trying to swing for the fences.
Yeah.
And when you don't hit the fences, you strike out. And you got all these people who thought they're going to play pro football, didn't have any career or education to fall back on, they thought they're going to be a rapper, all these different things. I think that, like, in the grand scheme of things, I would like to change the culture. But really, my focus is just like making sure my son does what he's supposed to do. Because that's enough work in itself, man.
Yeah.
Raising, I mean, we all have siblings. Some of our siblings do well, some of our siblings don't do well. So me just making sure that my son does what he's supposed to do is enough work in itself. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm trying to make sure that I do. It would be great if we could change the culture. And we try to change the culture by being an example, by showing people what's out there. But a lot of people will fight you to stay the same. So I think that's another hard part as well.
Okay, I feel you on that, man, and you're definitely right. Especially the part where you saying just doing your job as a father and making sure your kids are, staying on top of their things. You know what I mean, and not necessarily going for the home run, like, oh, I'm trying to be this huge rapper star, which is all good and gravy, but you can be a not a custodian, but like what are they call those guys who do the trash cans and stuff, like
Sanitation.
sanitation or the plumbing or the contractor or the nurse. These jobs pay well. You know what I mean? And it's just unfortunate that we don't have more people trying to, like you said, work. I know when I was in Amazon and the warehouses, people just didn't show up for work. Like, and how you gonna get money if you don't work? And we do got a problem with laziness. I agree. But I don't know how to change that other than a father or a mother staying on top of their kids. Like, me as a teacher, I can only say so much.
I will say that, like, creating content like this helps. Like, creating content where you have that conversation helps because people listen, man. I was riding down the freeway the other day and somebody pulled me over and he's like, "Hey man, you got to bring the podcast back." And so, like, I'm torn, man, because for the longest time I thought my job was to save the culture, and I did all these things, and then like the culture kind of turned on me and tried to destroy me. And
Mhm.
so I'm like, man, like I just got to focus on myself. But the culture does need people out there who are willing to be that change agent, and just knowing that that comes with the territory. Anybody that you've ever seen, like, we just celebrated Martin Luther King Jr. Day, but Martin Luther King Jr. is celebrated now. While he
Yeah.
was walking, he had a lot of opposition, and a lot of that opposition came from Black folks. And so I think that Black folks need to know, like, you might see this guy out there doing some great things, and he's going to get attacked. He's going to get called names. They're going to try to tarnish his character because that comes with the territory. And if we would give the people that grace, then maybe we'll see more people out there trying to be that change agent. But a lot of times, people hop on the hate train and they just start trying to tear down somebody too, and say he never did nothing good in his life.
Right? You agitating them. But sometimes you need that agitation. You got to go against that grain. But yeah, man, let's get a round of applause for that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Yes, sir. We want to get into our old words segment. This is a new segment for those of you guys who are listening. This is basically like current news.
Then on top of what's going on today. Yeah.
Yeah. we had a sound bite for it, but I can't find it right now. But oh, what? Oh, what? That happened?
It's all fake
Oh,
news.
what? Okay.
It's phony stuff. It didn't happen.
Oh, word?
We, along with your controversial takes on life and finances, this should not be controversy. I swear it should not be controversial. People they just be doing what they do.
But I can understand how it is. Because anyways, just go. And already.
So we noticed that you post a lot of the Pop Balloon show. So our question for you is, why is this show so popular and why do you post it so much?
So I'm married. I've been married 8 years. It'll be 9 years this year. We're going on 10 years. And so I don't date. I haven't been on a date in almost a decade. But I see so much conversation. Shout out to the wives. I see so much controversy on the internet about people who are having struggles dating. They can't find nobody. This person, they said the dating pool has pee in it. And so when I pulled up this show and I started watching it, it was amusing to me to see people who claim there are no options, who dismiss people for the dumbest things. And I posted to kind of highlight how shallow people are when there's a perfectly good person standing right in front of them. Or how I was just watching an episode today, and there's this older dude. He was dressed kind of crazy. He had all this Gucci on, all these brands on. And he mentioned that he owned a dental practice. All of a sudden, that girl's eyes were focused on him. And he ended up popping. And so it illustrates like the whole dating game. It's like it shows people why a lot of people are single, but I have a different perspective. And I think that your person's already there. The problem is you're not looking for a person, you're looking for perfection. You're looking for somebody without flaws. You're looking for a checklist. You're looking for all these things that do not exist. When you start to look at the math and you're like, what's your standard? My standards is this, 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 this. First off, a lot of them don't even match those standards. But the second thing is that if you were to look at the data, that standard does not exist. That person is like 0.001% of the population. What's the chances he lives in your city? What's the chances that she lives in your city? And so I just think it's amusing. I think it's funny to watch people. I think I'm really trying to show people that like the things that you're complaining about are foolish. You need to just find a person and build with that person. But I mean, a lot of them really entertaining. A lot of them are funny. People always wonder why I post them. But another reason why I post them is because I feel like wealth and relationships are directly connected. Directly connected. I was talking to somebody recently and I was like, oh yeah, my plan is just to do this, 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 this. And they're like, it must be nice. I was like, it's nice because I'm married, I'm committed. I'm not out here spending money on dates for 5 different women every month. I go home to the same place. I got somebody who got my back. I got her back. We live in the house with our child. We're raising our child. We share responsibility raising our child. It makes life easier when you do what you're supposed to do. It makes life easier. For example, a lot of people would be kind of going back to the career life. A lot of people would be very happy if they just made them $80,000 and their spouse made $80,000 and she was a nurse and he was an engineer. But people don't want normal. They want extraordinary. They're like, I want to be a rapper. I want to be an NBA player. That's how they're approaching dating. They don't want a normal person. They want a rapper, an NBA player, that kind of stuff. We're always aiming and swinging for the fences. And so to kind of go back to the point that I was making is that my page is about wealth, finance, but I've always told people that relationships and marriage is the base of all this. The reason why, and then also it's like, it's not always perfect. Like our marriage and our relationship's not perfect, but what is? When you get married, you start overlooking a lot of things that people will walk away from. When you get married, you learn to just, maybe I don't need to say that. When I first got married, I said whatever was on my mind. I was like, nah, I gotta say it. And I'm like, all right. You don't want to turn the heater on because you're hot. Let me just buy a heater from Amazon.
Yeah.
And then we move on about our day. But like people, I was very rigid like that when I first got married. But I knew that I wanted to get married because I knew what married life looks like. Married life is way more plush. It's way more comfortable. It's way more luxurious. I'd rather continue to pour into one woman than pour into a bunch of women who got a bunch of men pouring into them, and they're here today, they're gone tomorrow. And so that's the reason why I share it. I share it because relationships and money are connected. Relationships and wealth are connected. A lot of people aren't struggling, they're just single. A lot of people aren't broke, they're just single. And you're out here living in this world that's built based off of two incomes, and you're wondering why you can't do it because you don't got a second income.
Yeah.
You're over here depending on 100% 50-50 all the time. The world evolved. What happened is when men were the only people that had the ability to generate income, the world was priced at one man level. They didn't factor in the woman because she didn't have income, so they couldn't charge you double. Now the women work, everything costs double, but everybody's trying to move as though it's back in the 20s, 30s, 40s. And so you have this conversation and people just don't get it because they choose to not get it because it's more convenient to not get it. It's more convenient to be ignorant than it is to be informed. Because if you're ignorant, you just get to wonder around like, what happened? I don't know why I'm struggling. Like, how about you go read a book and you figure it out and then you realize you got to do something different. When you're ignorant, you get to stay the same, just complain. And that's what a lot of people would rather do.
Yeah, that's some facts right there, bro. I'm just gonna say it's facts. But
the reason why I'm controversial, let me just say this one thing. The reason why I'm controversial is because I look at the culture and I see the culture failing and I'm like, I don't want to do that shit. So let me go find a culture that's winning and emulate that. And then I'm gonna tell the culture why the culture is failing, because the ideas that we have creates the failure. We're not failing just because we're failing. We're failing because whatever this mindset is that makes sense to us doesn't reap success. It doesn't build success.
yeah, and I know those guys when they be dating all those girls, their pockets be hurting, man. Like you go on a date now, that's like $100-$200 right off the bat. And if you got a job that pay you 2 weeks or once every month, dude, how you supposed to come up? How you supposed to invest?
Because women, I feel like sometimes it's what you hear, oh, I want a provider. But they only think of it as providing means money. They only think of it as that. They ain't looking at the full spectrum of what provision means. When someone to take care of me, what they talk about, they're only looking at it in financial sense. You see what I'm saying? Like, so if it doesn't, but they never really can give you like a number. Like I noticed that, like they never give you like a quantity number a man needs to have for them to feel this fulfillment in the relationship or the marriage. I'm like, so are you just looking for a transactional marriage, right? But their argument is, well, okay, well, you gonna want my body at the end of this, so what's wrong with me wanting your money at the end of it? It's all just like, it's not about, and that's the thing, it's not about like your value and who you are. It's more so what can you give me in order just to live a lifestyle that I want or have the person that I want. But it had nothing to do with building like a foundation or love and like that. It's all this extra stuff, and if people, glamorize and look at, if I have money, this and that, then the relationship works, instead of knowing that it's like backwards. It's like, prove to me who you are by giving me this, instead of proving, like, giving me what you are on the inside, on what you value here, and letting that, the stuff on the outside, give the benefits of that. Because a guy who's making umpteen amount of money, he probably ain't shit. He can still treat you like shit.
Yeah, they forgetting like the value of a relationship, right? Instead of they're looking at the look of it,
Look,
the
for sure.
image of it. They want the LeBron instead of
They want the trips. It's not the person. They want the trips. They want the clothes. They want the things they can show off for their friends and girlfriends, all that. It's the lifestyle they want. They don't want
the person. Well, they want the person, but like it's more
what they got, what you can attach to it, and that's why I love watching it. I just love watching the superficial stuff of it all. I love it's entertaining, but it's also a case study. It's like you really look at how shallow people can be. And some people do it for publicity. I understand, because some of them got, they try to portray like there's somebody else. But if you look on their pages, they be like got the OnlyFans and all this kind of BBLs and all this. No, I'm serious. They be wilding, but it's like, how you want this man, or how you saying something about this man, and look at you. You on a whole page acting a fool, trying to hide who you are. You think a man of a certain standard is gonna be like looking at you?
That's
like
what I'm trying to marry.
No, that's not realistic. It's not realistic, but it's fun.
Can you break down the show real quick, Ty? Like how exactly it works, just for people who haven't seen it.
Okay, much as I can. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, but
it's a dating show.
The dating show. You have one contestant. You have about 7, 8 people with balloons in their hand.
Yeah.
The woman or the guy explain themselves, talk about who they are, what they about, and by who they are, and explain a little bit about themselves and what they look like. Everybody's subjected at first to pop a balloon if they don't like them, or keep balloon if they like what they see, like what they're saying. That's pretty much it. And it goes down the line of just elimination. And then, at a certain point, contestants, they look, and after that, they start narrowing down based on questions they'll ask the contestants, and they'll pop the balloon, and that's the way it goes. Sometimes, if all the balloons is popped, you don't get a date. But if it's one person with their balloon still with the contestant, then they'll go on a date. But it's a hot ass mess.
Yeah, it's just a little breakdown too, of some of the answers or things that you usually see that I'll say that women are looking for. It's usually their job, financial status, their height, and then also sometimes they don't care if they have kids or not. I noticed that they don't care too much about men having kids. Sometimes they do, but not too much. And then just little stuff like their style, how you're dressed.
Bro, let me get going on.
He ain't got no swag.
But the women be looking messed up too.
Yeah, and then
but they get mad when men have something to say about it. But y'all always got something to say about it.
Yeah, and then the guys, they're usually looking for women who don't have children. I noticed that a lot. They go off of their looks as well, how they look, and then guys will be funny, man. They get some of the coldest answers too. Her toes ain't done,
or the lace front is messed up, or no, they really get offended though.
Oh God. It'd be hilarious.
The crazy thing also is when they do the catch-up shows, and they show what it was like when they were dating, and it's then you get another level of insight, because now you're seeing what it's like when there's a relationship and why those things fall apart. And it also kind of illustrates why people who are single. They have a low tolerance. They have these crazy expectations for communication and you being available. And one chick was on there and she was like, yeah, I went on the show and people started hitting my DM. And so you wasn't applying the pressure. That's just a crazy thing to say. You match with somebody, you get in DMs, so you just chasing DMs. The illusion of options.
Delusion. I love it. I like the one thing you said earlier about the expectations. I think people definitely have a lot of unrealistic expectations when it comes to finding their mate or finding their significant other. And it's crazy because they have these high expectations, but then they're not even meeting those same expectations. So it's how are you asking for something that you don't even have? So it's mind-boggling sometimes, but it's a good show. I like the girl who created it. She always stays pretty cool and calm, and I think it was a great idea for a show.
Dude, I get that.
And she's doing it with her husband. Is this possible? Nice. She doesn't have her husband backing her. He produces the show. He's behind the scenes. So
That's pretty dope. Now, see, another pinpoint for marriage, man. Just before we get off this, Charles, if you can, because this is the Hustle Chronicles, and it's about the grind, the hustle coming up, and bettering yourself. Can you give some advice to people looking for their significant other, or how maybe you were able to find your wife, and just help them out a little bit, man. Help these guys out, man, or the ladies watching too.
Yeah, them too.
I think a lot of people are dating for a lottery ticket. They just want to find somebody that's going to just take them to the top. And I think that, first off, how I found my wife is in college through friends. And I think that one of the best places to meet your significant other is in college. You have access to a whole bunch of women that you see on a daily basis. You're not just seeing them on Saturday with a full face of makeup and a hat and a skin tight dress. You see what she looks like when she's going to class. You see what she looks like at late night when she just wants to come through and kick it. And you get to know somebody for the low. And so, like, when my wife first started coming through, we were just kicking it in the house. We're just happy to have a house, because we're just like, man, we got our own spot. Right. I lived with my parents for 18 years, and I got my own spot. So, like, that was a win. Just sitting in the house was a win. We didn't eat much. I didn't even take her out to a restaurant until like my last year of college, and I met her like my second year of college. And now we eat wherever we want to eat. And so I think that finding somebody in college is a huge hack. People should not take it for granted. I think that being in a Greek organization helps, because being in a Greek organization expands your reach. When you go Greek, now you're on multiple campuses. You're going to UCR, you're going to Cal State Long Beach, you're going to San Diego State, you're going to all these different schools, and you're getting access to girls from different schools, which allows you to then have even more of a reasonable expectation. I think one of the coolest things about meeting somebody in college is you meet is like, for example, it's like, I wasn't successful, but I had the traits of successfulness, and I was successful by college standards. I had a great major. I was the president of the chapter. I was in other organizations on campus. I was focused. I was handling business. And that doesn't necessarily look like six figures, but it progresses to six figures. So if you're just looking for somebody like, do you make six figures, or are you going to progress to six figures? Because a lot of this stuff takes time. Like when we first got married, we were living at our parents' house. Our first apartment, her dad co-signed on. And he bought a lot of the furniture in that house. And then we had our son. We bought a house. I furnished the whole house, put the down payment on the house. I made every single mortgage payment. But a lot of women, they don't want to start with you on their parents' house. They don't want to start with you with their dad co-signing for the apartment. They just want the finished product. And the problem is, if that's what you're waiting for, the finished product's going to look at you and be like, you wasn't with me shooting in the gym. Right. She was with me shooting in the gym. My life is indebted to her. I owe her everything, and I'm gonna make sure that she gets everything. And I feel like I win by giving her things. I win because she looks good. I win because she has a great ring. She has a nice car. She has all the bags she could want. She has designer shoes. Because she was with me shooting in the gym. She was with me sleeping on couches, sleeping on floors, sleeping in my parents' house. That's what creates a marriage. It's very difficult to have a long-lasting relationship in marriage with somebody that you just pick off the top of the tree.
Amen, bro.
That's the first point. I think also.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think also is you gotta look at people who are in spaces that you're in. So I think that church is a great place to find somebody. I think that school, for grad school, post like if you're in like your doctorate level stuff, that's a good place to find somebody. Where I don't think it's a good place to find somebody is the club and the streets, that kind of stuff. Because you don't know that person. One of the benefits of meeting somebody in college is you know everything about her. You know who she talked to before. You know how that relationship worked out. You know who she didn't talk to. You know who tried to talk to her and she wasn't buying it. That matters. That matters. Because there's girls that you knew like, yeah, that's not the one. She was over there talking to the homie smashed. And like you can weed them out a lot better because like it's like in college, not only are you picking your wife, you're also discarding the ones that are not wise. In the real world, you don't even know what she was like in college. You don't even know what she's like with other people. You just over here like, oh, she's pretty. Lo and behold, she got this crazy relationship in the past. She's done all this crazy stuff in the past, but she presents to you as though she's like all together. And so I think that it's smart to find somebody in a good space. College is a good space. Church is a good space. I'm even in favor of work conferences, business conferences, events like that. But like, you can't chase the bad beat. You can't chase the dime who don't got nothing going on for himself. You need to find you a solid seven. Get you a seven who comes from a good family and prosper. Because a lot of dudes are striking out because they're trying to get that BBL baddie. And a BBL baddie ain't about nothing. You don't want no BBL baddie. Because what's going to happen when your son is 5 years old and you need to read? What's she going to do? Twerk? That's what she's going to do? She needs some substance. She needs to follow with some substance. So, I mean, that's just my thoughts. That's my thoughts. I think a lot of people have already met their spouse. A lot of people know who their spouse, but they put them in the friend zone. They're like, oh, that's just my BFF. We just been knowing each other forever. That's your spouse, man.
I've been thinking about that lately. All my friends that are girls, I'd be like, all this time, is it just that you just haven't explored it, or is it two people just not being that open to explore it, and you looking everywhere, and y'all ain't got nobody yet, and y'all ain't thought once maybe this could be it? I thought about that.
Yeah, it was a lot of gems in there. I hope y'all caught some of those for sure. But that's some real shit though, for sure.
Yeah.
I had something I wanted to say, but I low key kind of forgot it. But anyways, let's keep going because I want to make sure we stay on time. And there was something I really want to say about that. That was some good stuff, man.
Hopefully it come back.
Yeah, it might come back. But yeah, we're gonna switch segments, guys. We got the hustle segment, and I think it had to do with the household wealth, but it's okay. So this segment is our hustle segment, guys. Let me go ahead and get some horns real quick, or some sirens. Where are horns at? Hold on.
Horns.
This the sirens.
Oh, you mean air horns? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, here it is. Yeah. Okay. This is our hustle segment, and this is basically based around the hustle. And we kind of wanted to address for Charles Hustle, because this man has not only put himself through college, but he's also put himself through law school and has built a successful business. So we kind of wanted to see, how do you develop this grind, this work ethic that you have? Like, where did that come from, and how were you able to put yourself into positions as you are now as a practicing attorney, and just your journey through this life?
Hold on, there's somebody coming in that's kind of loud.
Oh, okay.
Very loud. Maybe she'll just pop. So, man, I would say that it was instilled in me, man. Like I said, my grandfather to my mom, to me, I think that that's a large part. Even like my stepdad. So, for example, like my stepdad, before he met my mom, he was working a day job and he also had a weekend job. My mom, she was working a job and she was going to school at night so that she could progress. And so I was just kind of birthed into it. I was birthed into pushing herself to get to the next level. And so, like, let's say, for example, if I'm working a job and it's not paying me what I want, I got to figure out what I need to do in terms of skilling up so that I can make the money that I want to make. So is that getting an advanced degree? Is that working an extra job to get skills? Is that starting a business on the side? You got to look at the life that you want and let the life that you want drive what you do on a daily basis. And so I'm very big on vision boards. I just created a vision board. I've created vision boards almost every year since like post-college. And what's crazy is the vision board, it just magically happens. I don't know why. But the vision board is cool because it hones in your focus, but it also prevents you from looking at things that aren't your vision. So for example, I remember I put a Lexus on my vision board. I got the Lexus. I remember I put a whole bunch of watches that I never thought I'd ever get on the vision board. I had a Rolex on there. I had a whole bunch of watches. I got all those watches. I had a Submariner on there. I had GMT on there. I had all these different things. I got all those things. Um, so I think that your vision and what you're aiming for is the most important thing. The house that I live in right now, I put that on my vision board. I had no idea I was going to get that house. I got the house. But I think that it's just wanting a certain lifestyle and realizing nobody's going to do it for me. Realizing the government ain't going to do it. No woman going to show up and do it for me. My parents aren't going to do it. Like, my parents gave me a strong foundation, but they didn't give me what I wanted out of life. Like, my parents didn't give me the down payment on my house. My parents weren't going to give me the co-sign on the car that I want. They weren't going to help me get the things that I truly wanted out of life. I had to go and get them. And so one of the things that was always kind of interesting to me was remember when I was in college and we were living in an apartment and one of my roommates got food stamps and they was just balling. They had all the kind of foods you could ever want. And I told my mom, I was like, I want to get food stamps. Like, I think I can qualify in my college, so I'm not making any money. She's like, no, I don't get food stamps. She's like, you just need to figure it out. And that, I tell that story because that clicked in me to never depend on the government for anything. So I'm never looking for, I'm not looking for student loan forgiveness. I'm not looking for anything. I think it just became like, how can I do it? Do I got to work more? And then what's cool is when you work more, you grow. So I'm not above any job. I'm not above any job. I think the most important thing you can be doing is moving, working, staying active. There's a point in my life when I was working 7 days a week. I was working Monday through Friday in the firm. I was working Saturday and Sunday in a restaurant with a law degree. And I didn't care because what I was doing was I was learning business. And the lessons that I was learning in that business translated into my business. And so another example is I was working a job and I was driving Uber at night. While I was driving Uber at night, I stumbled upon the neighborhood that I now live in now that's giving me a massive upside. And so if you have, the most important thing is stay busy, stay working. You don't need days off. You don't need weekends. You don't need holidays. You need to accomplish your goals. That's one thing that I learned in law school. Law school, there are no weekends. You study every single day. There are no holidays. I was in the house studying the 4th of July day out there grilling burgers. There are no vacations. I didn't take a vacation so I could take a vacation and not have to worry about nothing, not taking no PTO, not like, you can pay me, you cannot pay me. I'm going on this vacation and we're going to do it right. And so I think that like your vision drives it. I think that if you don't necessarily are around the kind of people that are going to help you you got to get around those people. So you got to go seek out the people that you want to be like. You got to get in the room so that their mindset, their success can rub off on you. And I think that's kind of what I kind of boil it down.
Nice. Yeah, there's a lot of things to take away from there, especially, again, back to the work ethic and then the jobs, you know. Some people think they're too good to work a job or too good to flip burgers or too good to sweep floors or clean the restroom. You know, I've been at jobs where I was cleaning the restrooms, waiting tables, you know, and I was a bar back, cleaning glasses and dishes for, you know, the bartender who's serving the people. And you know what? I learned a lot during those jobs too. Like, I caught gems from the customers where this one guy, he would come in, I sit at the bar every day. And, you know, he said, I put 5 children through college by myself. And he was like, you want to know how I did that? I was like, why? How do you do it? He was like, priorities. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. You know, you got to have your priorities in order. Like, so many people trying to look the part and, you know, be out in the streets, clubbing, partying, but they don't got their stuff together. You know what I mean? Or they're not even trying to get their stuff together. They're just putting the lifestyle, the comfort, the alcohol, the drugs, all that before they even read a book, before they even say their prayers, before they even, go to work. I know people that getting drunk before they go to work. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I used to do it too. That's how I know. And I noticed that my performance wasn't as good. I wasn't showing up as much. You know what I mean? But once I started to get my priorities in order, like, bro, you gotta, instead of getting that tall can, why don't you save that money and, invest it or put it towards a bill to help your credit? You know what I mean? And, you just gotta grow up, I guess, and you gotta put things in perspective. Not everything is that important, especially comfort. People lean on comfort, like, I don't feel good. You shouldn't even care if you feel good or not. You got a job to handle. You got, like Charles said, responsibilities. So yes, it's okay, I'm gonna relax a little bit. I'm just fatigued, but stay on your shit. You know what I mean? And another jobs that I've picked up from Amazon and other warehouses, just being on time, being punctual, they write you up for a reason. You know what I mean? Like, they need you here on time. Because if you're not there on time, guess what? You're missing out on work. You're missing out on the productivity of the company, the performance of the company. So, it's crucial, man. And you have to change your habits and you become someone different. You become someone better. And I just wish people will put that pride and ego to the side, set it aside over here and handle your business. Do what you got to do. So it's interesting to me, man.
But let's
Culture does that.
keep that honest, like when we're talking about within our culture, like how much of it is us just growing up even not knowing. And some people don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And that's not an excuse, because now there is a lot of resources that you can look to get it. But I feel like a lot of mentorship is lacking, a lot of guidance in what that looks like practically for people who don't really have that or have that even environment around them. And most aren't guided into that. So they don't see that is possible. They don't, some people see things as like only options the way they live, and they think that the luxury of the fact that I got this little bit of money right here and I can go to the club and do this, like that's a win for me, versus, hey, I can take this and invest this in this. You know what I'm saying? They don't know. They don't
have that exposure
for it. So it's not easy to say, hey, go do this. We need to tell them how they can go do this, where they can look for that. So when they are just making an honest living and an honest job, when they do these tactics, these practices, and get better, then they can be humble enough and they can be appreciative and meek enough to, when they have it, just appreciate it more. And when you appreciate it more, you steward it more,
Yeah.
keep it more, you can, and then that circulates and you can teach, the ones like, even ones above you too, because some people aren't above approach if you're older, but you can teach now, and then that circulates.
Yeah, it goes back to that thing about the athletes and the entertainment. This is all they're seeing, you know what I mean? So they gonna emulate what they see. So it's very interesting.
I think one thing you said that I think is very important is exposure. I forget his I think his name is Jamal. I forget his last name. Six-figure CEO or maybe 9-to-5 millionaire. He said that you can only grow to the level of your exposure. And I think that that's another thing that kind of pushed my hustle. Is growing up, we were exposed to a lot. So we did a lot of things in high-end areas. We drove around high-end areas. We looked at nice homes. We looked at nice cars. We went to nice restaurants. We went to nice malls. We went to nice stores. And you start looking around at the people that are in there. And you start wondering, like, I used to wonder, like, what kind of person owns a boat like this? What kind of person owns an apartment like this? What kind of person drives a car like this? And you start going to the dealership and looking around. And I started to realize, like, you got a lot of entrepreneurs and professionals. One of my favorite books is The Jewish Phenomenon. It says success people are entrepreneurs and professionals. And so I think that exposure is so fire, and that drives the hustle as well. One of the coolest things is I'm very intentional about exposure with my son. And so we went to a car show. We went to Atlanta and we had like rented a Porsche. We're driving around in the Porsche, and now my son knows he's getting a Porsche. Like, Dad, when I get bigger, I get my Porsche, we're gonna do this and this. And so I tell him, I was like, in order for you to get a Porsche, you got to be very good at math. You got to take your math seriously, and it trickles down because there's things that get there. You don't just get there like a lot of people want to do. You do the things that get you there. And another thing I want to say is that you never want to stay content. So I said work jobs, but you don't want to stay content where you are. So as I was working that job, I was building my business. I was creating my podcast. I was doing what I saw her doing in her business. I was like, this is what I want to do. When I was driving Uber, I was listening to podcasts. I was listening to books. I was grinding. I was educating myself. And so I know people who they're in a situation and they feel like that situation's hopeless, but they don't realize, like, you maybe work 40 hours a week and you got 180 of them hours. So what are you doing on your weekend? What are you doing after you get off of work? I used to be reading books. I still read books. I was creating content, doing all kinds of stuff. That's what separates you. Because a part of what you're doing is trying to separate yourself from others. And so you got to work when they're not working. You got to read when they're not reading. You got to do the things that they're not doing when they're not doing it. And those weekends, those evenings, those holidays, those vacations, that's going to separate you. You're going to look up 2, 3, 4, 5 years. You're going to be so far ahead of them. They can never catch up because they just punted all that time while you were producing.
Yeah, and that's a hack too. I'm gonna call it a hustle hack. Doing work on not only on the weekend stuff, but sometimes y'all jobs have downtime. So I used to work at a security desk. I will be studying for my teaching test, my substitute teaching test. When I was at Amazon and I was doing problem solving, I'll be watching YouTube videos on how to trade options. That's how I learned.
That's real, man.
Honestly, a large part of Todd Capital was built at the desk, at the job.
Yep.
I'm sending emails. I'm doing all kind of stuff.
Yeah. So you guys just got to get to it, man, and expose yourself to different stuff that maybe you want to do. You got to dream a little bit, have some imagination. Don't just try to do everything you see on TV. Just to throw some stats out there, because we were having that conversation earlier about the marriage and the pop and balloon stuff. What does it say? It says this is like the income ranges between single people and married people. The married people who filed their taxes have between 96 and 206K versus single person, 48K to 103K. The next bracket, 24%, 206K to 394, so almost 400, to a single person, 103 to 200. And then 32 and 35% is between 394 to 750K versus 197 to 626K. So the proof is in the pudding.
And that's not even based on race either. That's just in general, it sounds like.
So
I would say two things. First thing is Black people got to move different. For some reason, we think we white people now because racism is invisible. Racism didn't go away. It's just invisible. It still exists. People feel it. They just can't see it. And so people around here moving like, this ain't no racism. Ain't no racism. No, it's still racism. You got to move like your grandma and your granddaddy. They were together for survival. It wasn't just love. It wasn't just hearts and butterflies. It was survival. And there's people out here who need to get together for survival. And the second thing that I'll say is, and I just went on a tangent. I forgot my other thing.
You good, man.
It's you don't need a 6-figure man. You need a 6-figure household. How do you get a six-figure household? Two average people can get a six-figure household, and those average people can get them a nice in the community. But one above average person can't even afford a house. They probably won't even let them qualify because the bank doesn't want to take the risk on one person with one income that's not substantially high and secure and it's been there for a long time. They want to see two incomes. A bank would rather sell a house to two average people than one above average person. The problem is most people ain't above average in the first place. Like average is average. Average is literally average. Like they take everybody and they divide it in half, or they divide it by the amount of people. That's what gets your average. Everybody, a lot of people are average, man. They just walking around like they that one. And so if you just get your household, they don't even look at wealth and income by individual. They look at it by household. The problem is we're losing too much because we got a bunch of single family homes, single person homes. So you look at like household income, we're down there like 40, 50K. Everybody else is like 90, 100 and plus. Household means two people. Two people.
Bruh.
Man, let me throw some sirens in there too, man. Let me get some game. Come on, y'all, get it together, man. Yeah, I love that, man. That's a lot of game right there. A whole lot of game right there. Let me throw more in there. Hold on. Yes, sir. Rick Ross. Get it together. Okay, so Tyler, did you have anything else you want to say about that before we go? I don't know, Charles, you mind playing a few games with us, bro?
Sure, I got time.
Just a couple, you know.
Yeah, we can move on to the games. I ain't got. Man, it was just
okay. Yeah, man. If they don't get something out of that, man, they ain't listening. You know what I mean? Like that.
I'm gonna chop it up. I haven't done this in a long time. I'm gonna chop it up and put it on my Instagram.
Man, got to. So this game is called. Oh, hold on. Let me introduce it real quick. Do we got the? We can do the. Where's the air horns? Yeah, let's get some air horns. Yeah. All right. So this is our trivia game section. And you know, we got to spice it up a little bit. This one is centered around finance, since we do got a finance specialist on the pod today. It's called Would You Rather, and we're gonna ask you a few questions. Tyler, you can answer them too if you want to. So Charles, would you rather use a debit card or use a credit card for every purchase?
I don't believe in credit cards, man. I think that
Go ahead, I'm messing with you.
Credit cards are a trap. I think that most people shouldn't use them, and I think that they should focus on getting their income and their savings together so they don't need them. I'll tell you a story. I've had to chunk out large credit card balances multiple times in my life, and the most recent time I had to, I was like, I'm never going back. I can't do it anymore. So the first time I did it was like, I forgot when. The second time before the most recent time was right before we bought our house. I had a bunch of credit cards maxed out, can't get qualified for a house with maxed out credit cards, so I had to chunk up those balances. I got that good credit score, I got the house, and I got caught into the business credit tip. They're like, you need business credit, you can get high limit cards. The problem is a high limit is high debt.
Yep.
Who wants to have a credit card that has a $20,000 available balance or available credit limit, and now you got $20,000 in debt that they're charging you 30% per year to have, and they want their money every single month because they're going to want their interest payment every single month. I ran up a lot of money in credit card debt, putting it into a house flip. The house flip kept taking longer and longer. I couldn't sustain the balances. I had to chunk them all out. Did I tell you the number? It was like $100,000 credit card debt.
Sheesh.
And I had to chunk it out. And I realized, I was like, this shit is a trap. I can never win. I can never beat this credit card thing. The only way that I can beat it is by not playing the game. So they send me offers, I reject them. And then like the worst part about it is I had that debt, and so I couldn't get the things that I really wanted. I couldn't get the boat, I couldn't get the RV. And I was like, man, I have all this debt on dinners and clothes and silly stuff that's preventing me from getting the things that I want. And all that stuff's just sitting in there, just doing nothing, not creating memories with my family. My son loves camping. He loves going on the boat. And so I was like, I would rather use my credit for large purchases like a boat, an RV, things like that, a bigger house, than supplementing my income. Because a lot of people are using credit to supplement their income. They don't make enough, and they're like, I want to live this lifestyle. Let me put it on the credit card. And then they get behind on the ball and the balance, and now they can't make it up. A lot of people have maxed out credit cards. They're not talking about it. A lot of people have bad credit. They're not talking about it. That's why credit repair is such a big business. I don't believe in credit. I don't think you can outsmart these large companies. They have a lot of people that go through the data, go through the psychology, and they know, let me just make this card this color. Let me just make this card pretty and fancy. And so I've been credit card debt free for about 2 years, and I'm never going back. I don't see the benefit in it. Luckily, I have a substantial savings. I don't need to go on credit card debt. Even when I had the credit card debt, it wasn't because I didn't have the money. It was just because I didn't want to use that money for that. And I negotiated pretty generous settlements, and I paid off that debt for like 50K. It was like 50K in cash. I had to sacrifice a lot, and I didn't want to do that. And so now I'm like, I just got to stay ahead. I got to keep the savings. I don't want to go into credit card debt because it's a trap, man. Do not do it. That's just my perspective. I think it's a much better life to be credit card free.
Yeah, and then I gotta look into this. I probably talked to my mom about it, but I know when you are like maxed out, that definitely hurts your credit score, and it also, like when you're purchasing a home, it hurts your debt to income ratio. But I'm not sure if you just have like available credit. So say if you have a $20,000 credit card and it's like at a zero balance, I don't know if that hurts. I'm not sure.
It doesn't hurt. It helps. My credit score is high, but it's hurt because it shows that I have zero available credit. It doesn't show that I don't have any credit card debt, but I have zero available credit because I don't have any credit cards right now.
Yeah. So that's something y'all should think about, man. Another one, leave inheritance for your kids or spend all the money before you die.
You shouldn't even have to ask me that question, man. on my arm right here, I have it tatted that says, "A good man leaves an inheritance to his children." I think that one of the mistakes that we make as a culture is a lot of people move like the former, like the latter. A lot of people are like, I'm spending it all until I die. I don't care. So, I mean, a lot of things that I do and have done are so that my son already has an inheritance. He already has money put away in the stock market. He already has the house in Detroit. I have a life insurance policy. Since he was born, I got a life insurance policy. And when we got the house, I doubled the life insurance policy. I believe strongly in inheritance. I mean, that's all we talk about is building generational wealth. What do you think generational wealth is? It's an inheritance.
Yes, sir.
And so, my dad is not the most generous person. I don't expect anything. Maybe I'll get some life insurance. I don't know. Who cares? But I'm not planning for it. But I know that my son is going to be well taken care of because that's what it's supposed to be done. I can't convince my dad to do it the right way with the information that I have that he might not have had, but I can do the right thing going forward, and I can teach my son to do the right thing going forward. And it's a blessing, man. Like, that is wealth. Like, generational wealth is still wealth. You want to die with money. You don't want to die broke.
All right. Tell me about it.
How do you want people to remember you, man? How do you want to be remembered?
That's a good question. Great question. Save your money or invest your money?
I believe in investing your money, honestly. My entire savings account is invested. So everything I have is invested. I have a savings account, but it pales in comparison to the investment account. So the saving is just money that I have stuck there. But you should be investing about 90% of what you have. And that is a sliding scale. So what happens is, as you age, say, for example, I'm almost 40 years old, about 60% of my money should be invested in things that are more growth oriented, whereas 40 should be in something more stable. If you're 20 years old, it's 80% of your money should be invested in something that's growth, 20% should be invested in something that's more stable. If you're 90 years old, 90% should be in something more stable, 10% could be in growth. That's how I look at it.
Okay. Got two more for you, brother. Loan your money to your parents or loan it to a friend or sibling?
I think it depends on the circumstances. But I don't necessarily believe in loans, especially to people that are close to you. My dad, when he bought his most recent house, he needed some money. And he was like, "Oh, is this a loan or how do you want me to pay you back?" And I told him, "This is a loan. However, I don't want anything until you either sell this house or the house has to be sold." And so, I mean, I've had situations where I've helped my sister out with things. I've helped a lot of people out, and it was never a loan. It was like, here. I don't necessarily believe in creating like that sort of, because I mean, the Bible says borrow is slave to the lender. That changes the dynamic of the relationship. And now you're looking at them sideways. Now you're not going to Christmas dinner. Now the whole relationship is tarnished. And that's kind of like the perspective that I even had like when I was growing up. And like, you ask your parents for some money and they want to loan you some money. Like, don't loan me no money. Like, I thought it was dumb then. Like, there's a lot of things that I think that are dumb based on principle, not based on position. Not because I'm asking you for something, oh, now the rules should change. Like, no, like, I'm your son. You should just be hooking me up, helping me out. And I see the same thing with my son. Like, my son, like, I'm not loaning you money. You don't got to pay me back. So I think that's the way it is. And you shouldn't enter into that situation with something you can't afford to give away. Like, if you can't afford to give away, you probably shouldn't do that, because even if it is a loan, it's going to put a stress on you. Now that stress is real life stress that's coming at you, and you're taking that out on the people that are close to you.
Thanks.
Okay, last one. Own 5 investment properties or 3 vacation homes? Well, it's kind of like the same question because
you should do both. I think you should do both. However, rental properties are hard work, man. Hard work, slim margins. It's glamorized on the internet. You make it seem like you just sit back and collect passive income. No, what you really got is active stress. You got active people complaining. Yeah, you can get it to the point to where it's somewhat passive, but it's not what they make it out to be on the internet. It's a tougher business than you would think. We've had properties where people moved in, made a mess, so much so to the point where it's like, I'd rather just sit vacant. I'd rather this property just sit vacant than have to worry about somebody turning your house into a boarding house, putting somebody in the basement, and then complaining and making a mess. We had a house where somebody was just like smoking in the house. You go in the house, the whole ceiling's just covered in like brown residue. So honestly, I think that the best way to make money is a business. By far, the best way to make money is a business. So much so, like at the peak of like Todd Capital, I didn't even really care about the rental properties. I was like, man, I'm not picking this phone for $700 when I got 10,000 coming in. I got 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 coming in. Like, $700. You want to talk to me crazy? Like, no, thank you. So the only thing that I am pro and what I want to do is looking at like rental properties in like the area that we live in now. So finding something, like we're looking at some of the condos they're building that are like $400,000 or $500,000, and the thought is just like, man, let's get one of these now while it's just being built. This whole area is growing. You know, it's only going to get bigger and more prosperous, and then you keep it for your son. I think that is what that's how I see real estate now.
Nice. Yeah, man. Those some great answers, dude. Hopefully people got a lot out of that as well. We wanted to start this new like tell a story. I don't know if you guys seen the R&B podcast with Tank and Jeremiah. They like tell a story, like, and it's like either something comedic or serious or, you know, but you can't like give names. But we low key running out of time, and I know my bro got to get home. So we're going to end it right there. And hopefully next time Charles come on, he can bless us with some of his law school stories, because I know some of those is funny. I know he got some funny stories, dude. But man, it's been a pleasure, Charles. Man, we appreciate you for coming on, man. Like, it's one of those ones that I really been looking forward to, like, for a minute. So, man, thank you, brother. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Yeah, hopefully you guys got some value. I'm starting my own firm. It's not super official yet. You got a lot of regulatory things that you have to do before you can do all of that. And so I want to get those in place before I even talk about launching it. However, it's coming.
Yes, sir.
You know,
Yes,
Kenny
sir.
working a job.
Yes,
You work to learn, not to earn.
That's a gem right
So,
there.
Another hustle. Right?
Also, you can follow me at Todd Capital, at c.oglesby.esq. I'm actually going to be starting like a law school podcast. I want to call it Law School, and
Nice.
interviewing attorneys and just kind of talking about their path, what that looked like. So expect that one soon. Pretty cool logo, all that stuff too.
Yeah, y'all go follow all his plugs, man, and make sure y'all follow his brother, man. He definitely will not lead you down the wrong path. And you know, like I said before, this is one of my mentors, so like I'm testament to, you know, some of the knowledge and, you know, just wisdom that he just be pouring out. And you know, a lot of people don't know, but bro shows a lot of love, man. Like, he really do be looking out for people, and, like, you know what I mean. So y'all don't judge a book by its cover. Like, get to know the brother, and you know, you will understand where he's coming from, and he has a good heart, you know what I mean. So it may come off sometimes like brass, or like maybe you don't understand, but it's like good intentions behind it, you know what I mean. So, you know, go follow the bro, man. And can we get a round of applause real quick? Oh, y'all do my Jocelyn clap. Yeah, man. So we're gonna end it off with the Black Business segment, but we don't got the music.
I guess I'll put that in later. Either way.
Yeah, we got to put the music in. But yeah, Charles, do you have a business that you want to shout out?
I mean, the law firm coming soon.
Yep.
That's just what I'll say. That's coming soon.
And then also too, if you
And of
guys,
course, we got Todd Capital. We got Todd Capital. We got the Todd Capital Mastermind. We got all that stuff.
yep. And there's courses in there, from real estate to taxes to stocks to options. Man, it's a whole bunch. It's like get the Freedom Pack, man.
Freedom Pack. All right, y'all.
Hey, man, we appreciate you, bro, and make sure you get home safe too. Me and Ty will finish this off, but like, again, bro, we appreciate it, man, and thanks for always you know, answering when I call, man, and hitting me back with the text. So, you know, I don't take it lightly, bro.
Indeed, man. Y'all be cool.
Thank you.
All right, bro. Hey.
Real good to have him on. Real good to have him on, for sure, for sure.
Yes, sir. Do you want to give your business, Ty?
Yeah, this one comes from a lady named Shay Tucker. She has a business called Illuminated by Design. It is basically like 3D laser engraved gifts and more things in that. That's basically it. You can find it on her IG. You can go at ILLUMINATED by Design, DESIGN, or you can go on the website illuminatedbydesign.com. And yeah, shout out to Shay and the business that she started, making creative designs, just by a passion.
Shout out to Shay, man. My business that I'm gonna shout out today is somebody from actually the Todd Capital Mastermind. I met him. I actually did a podcast with him. I was a guest. And it's the StamperSignings. He does notary. His Instagram is Stamper, StamperSignings, Stamper Signings. On Instagram, he also has his YouTube channel, the same handle. And check out his podcast, the Stamper podcast, specifically the one that I was on. It was a good one. We talked about the digital gold rush and how we could use these tools such as your phones and computers, to make money online. A big thing with how Charles made a lot of money besides his job was creating digital products such as courses and books, ebooks, stuff like that. So it's definitely a digital gold rush right now. Me and Ty are doing this podcast, so we're contributing to that, and hopefully you guys like the podcast. Follow our plugs, the Instagram at the Hustle Chronicles, Twitter, or not Twitter, X, at DHC_02, and definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel to see the visual if you are listening to this on the audio on Spotify, and that is also the Hustle Chronicles. But yeah, Ty, is there anything you want to say about our guests or any recap or anything? Because I know it
was a lot. I just want to take heed of some things he was saying, and just one thing that I think that then this will kind of just be a words of wisdom type of thing is just training your mind to be stronger than your emotions sometimes.
I like that.
You know what I'm saying? I think it all starts there, and the decision. You have to choose to want to have these things over the feelings of it's hard, or the feelings like your laziness feelings, or emotions of just some. You have to, your mind. You have to have that focus, discipline. These are things that it wasn't said, but I hear the focus and the discipline. That versus how you feel. You get trapped if you go off on how you feel. You got to really have a mindset. Guess that's what mastermind all the time.
And then I'll say that when you hear someone speaking to you and they're trying to give you knowledge or game, just kick in the information, and it might trigger an emotion that low key might be a sign that is something there. You know what I mean? You felt that, whether it was painful or you was mad about it or sad or it made you happy. There's something about those words that resonated. You know what I mean? And even if you thought it was something bad, try to understand the point of view. You know what I mean? So it can help you grow. You might be like, oh, nah, that's, I heard, bro, but I ain't hearing, bro. That ain't it. You know what I mean? But at least understand the point of view, because it might be useful to you. But I already know, bro, got some gems, man, heat, man, every time. So,
and if you're not, you can't control what people listen to and how they're gonna listen. The thing that you take in may not be something that I take, but that's it's. I feel like sometimes it takes things a few times for it to resonate with people.
Yeah.
And you got the thing about what I love about this is there's no one way of doing things. So I'm not gonna say you just have to take this. It may be something we said, could be something. As long as you take something, take something. There's a lot of fruit on these trees. Take some part of some fruit with you to use. If you don't take it, you'll listen to somebody. You'll take to somebody.
For sure.
And even if it ain't our podcast, you'll listen to somebody somewhere, somebody saying it. Could be the same thing. But if you have listened, we're grateful for it.
Right. Amen.
Taking it with you.
Yeah. And definitely blessings to Charles, and God bless his future endeavors.
Sure.
But yeah, guys, this has been the
So the
The
Hustle
Hustle
Chronicles.
Chronicles. Yes, sir. God bless y'all. Stay up. Let's get it. Subscribe to the channel.
I love the game. I love the hustle, man.